personally been recommended by either a peer or a friend or a colleague or a mentor of mine. And I just thought I'd break them down, go through these with you. Um, so, number one, and I try and read this every year. If you've watched a bit of my content, you will know I'm a big fan of Atomic Habits. Atomic Habits by James Clear. It's an easy read. It's how many pages is this? It's about 300 odd pages. It's a pretty easy read, and it's a read that I always try and do at least once per year. Atomic Habits is really foundational to personal and professional development. And I think if you're interested in growing as a person, if you're interested in getting better, you need to read Atomic Habits. Hands down, one of the best professional and personal development books. There's been over 15 million copies sold. Like, you don't sell 15 million copies of a book by accident. But the things that I love about James Clear's Atomic Habits is he talks about 1% better every day, which is a value and a tenet that I hold really close in my life and in my family's life. We're always trying to get 1% better every day. But he talks about the maths behind that, the compound interest effect that goes behind committing to 1% better every day, which can result in a 37 times factor improvement over the course of 1 year. So if you improve 1% better every day over a 12-month period, you'll be 37 times better off at the end of that year, thanks to the beauty of compound interest. The other thing that I love about Atomic Habits is the don't skip twice rule. And James Clear does it really beautifully with a graphic in the book with an illustration. And it's all about you're allowed to skip twice. You're allowed to skip the gym. You're allowed to not do that thing that you've committed to do throughout the course of your year to help achieve your goals. Of course, you can skip every now and then. You don't have to be perfect. And it acknowledges the imperfections that happen in life. But the rule is you're allowed to skip once, but you're not allowed to skip twice. And I love that. I think that's a really great thing that if you can carry into 2026, if you can maintain momentum through getting 1% better every day and not skipping twice, you'll be way further ahead. You'll be kicking goals by the end of the year. So that's number one, Atomic Habits. Book number two, and I don't have a physical copy of it here with me, is Winners by Alastair Campbell. Now, this one is a bit of a long read. It's a decent length book. And my summary of Winners would be, I wish that I was born a generation earlier to probably appreciate the stories that Alastair talks about throughout the book Winners. This was recommended by someone who was in the generation or potentially two generations ahead of me. So they probably appreciated it a little bit more because Alastair Campbell worked a lot in UK and British politics. I believe he worked with Tony Blair. He was like a campaign manager or a 2IC to Tony Blair, who was very influential through the last generation of UK politics. So it does speak a lot about politics, but it also speaks a lot about sports, business, and just high-level performance. So he talks a lot about different characters throughout history who have achieved a whole lot of success in their lives and are real winners. He really did a great job interviewing just winners through this book. So I would highly recommend Winners by Alastair Campbell. Again, a long read, but still worthwhile nonetheless. Number three is a pretty easy read. It's called Start the Work by Natalie Dawson. Now, Natalie Dawson is in business with Grant Cardone. She's the co-founder of Cardone Ventures, I believe. And basically, the Start the Work book, it's a fairly simple, fairly easy read. It's not too dense. It's a playbook for busy entrepreneurs. Now, she splits it up into 4 sections. Splits it up into your time, so time management, you, personal like self-management, your culture, and your team. And really, the crux of this book is shifting from day-to-day operations to long-term growth strategies, which is where I believe most entrepreneurs should be sitting within their business. They shouldn't be the people who are pulling the levers and pedaling the bike. They should be leading the charge in terms of vision, in terms of strategy, in terms of growth. And that's what I really hope to focus on a lot more, thanks to this book, Start the Work by Natalie Dawson. Book number 4, you may have seen this person or this author throughout 2025, and I'm sure you'll see a whole lot more of her in 2026, which is Main Street Millionaire by Codie Sanchez. Codie is, she's cheeky, she's funny, she's just got this great sense of humor that I certainly really appreciate in a read and in her podcast and her videos on socials as well. But the whole point of Main Street Millionaire is really breathing life into unsexy businesses. She talks a lot about how her and her holding company and her investment company have made a whole lot of money and built a whole lot of wealth through investing in unsexy businesses, window washing businesses, laundromats, dry cleaning, boring businesses. They're not sexy by any means, but she's really addressing an underlying opportunity that exists within Australian society, but I believe in a more global sense as well, which is the aging business owners in some of these unsexy businesses and the large amount of intergenerational wealth that is getting left on the table or is just getting closed down, is getting left with their businesses when they shut them down because they've got no one to pass them on to. Their kids have gone on into professional life. Their kids have gone on into corporate world. They're not interested in the family business anymore. So Codie Sanchez basically talks about how to go in and acquire and work with these aging business owners who want their business to continue. They want their business to succeed beyond them, but they're getting too old. They're done with it. They're overrunning their business, and her book really talks about how to go in, breathe some life into these unsexy, boring, but very profitable and very successful businesses and turn them around and make them real wealth building machines. So, Main Street Millionaire on your must read list. Now, I know that this may sound like a list of books that you must read, but I promise there are some doozies coming up that I probably wouldn't recommend reading again. And that's no discredit to the people that recommended them to me. I just didn't like them. Number 5 is this book right here, Ride of a Lifetime, or The Ride of a Lifetime by Robert Iger or Bob Iger. He is the CEO of the Walt Disney Company and arguably is one of the most successful and influential CEOs in our generation or over the last 2 or 3 decades, really. Bob Iger he's an awesome, awesome CEO, and the way that he has led the Walt Disney Company is very impressive and admirable. And I probably wasn't expecting to like this book as much as I did, in all honesty. Bob talks in the book, he's an excellent storyteller. And I guess to work for the Walt Disney Company and lead the Walt Disney Company, you need to be able to be a great storyteller. And Robert Iger does this so well throughout his book. And it's really his memoir. It's a #1 New York Times bestseller, which I know every book is a bestseller of some way, shape, or form, but this one truly is, and it truly deserves the bestseller status. But he talks about leadership struggles. He talks about a lot about Roy Disney, who was Walt's cousin from memory. How he there's a bit of a leadership and a power struggle because Roy Disney had a whole lot of shares and a whole lot of influence over the Walt Disney Company board. But through it, there's these themes of optimism. There's these clear demonstrations of courage, decisiveness, and also fairness through what Bob talks about and the stories that he's able to tell and the leadership lessons that he's able to demonstrate. You got to remember that when Bob Iger came into Disney, it wasn't the behemoth that you see now. He has overseen the acquisitions and the integrations of other businesses into the Walt Disney Company, such as Pixar, such as Lucasfilm and the Star Wars properties. He also navigated the relationship with Steve Jobs with Pixar, and Bob and Steve had, by the sounds of it, an excellent friendship and relationship in business and in life. So much so that Bob was, invited to Steve Jobs' funeral. He was there in some of the last moments of Steve Jobs' life, who, of course, is a highly influential figure across our generation and across the last 2 centuries. But Bob talks about the relationship with Steve and how Steve was so business minded and so business focused and so passionately creative about the Pixar brand as well, because he stepped away from Apple to build Pixar, and then stepped back into Apple, of course, after and during this process. But also stuff that I love to hear about was the acquisition of Marvel, Marvel Comics, and the creation of Marvel Studios, Star Wars, of course, and the Lucasfilm acquisition, which was really very interesting to hear about the behind the scenes stuff. And more recently, the acquisition of 20th Century Fox, which was huge, absolutely huge. And hopefully, we are going to get to see some of the fruits of the 20th Century Fox acquisition with Avengers Doomsday, seeing the X-Men and the Avengers in the same film finally. But overall, if you're a fan of Disney, you are going to absolutely froth The Ride of a Lifetime by Bob Iger. Excellent book. Would highly recommend the read. I'm actually probably at the stage where I'm nearly ready to read it again, because I read it probably six or 7 months ago, and it was just awesome. So highly recommend Ride of a Lifetime, Bob Iger. The next one, this is fundamental to anyone in leadership, but also in life in general. If you want to have a better year this year than you did last year, I think it comes a lot down to who's on your energy bus. So the Energy Bus by John Gordon, you won't miss it in your bookshelf. It's bright yellow/orange. And the subtitle here is 10 Rules to Fuel Your Life, Work, and Team with Positive Energy. Now, you don't have to be a business leader. You don't have to be a manager of people. You don't need to be someone in a leadership or a management position by any means. Everyone has a role to play on the energy bus, and it's clear, practical advice to anyone to have a better life. It's really the power of positive energy. You can see it's not a massive book. It's you can listen to it on Audible in probably in a day. It's less than 200 pages. And yeah, it's a fantastic book. Energy Bus. Our whole team has read Energy Bus. We gave a copy to every member of our team, and just the attitude, the energy, the uplift in accountability for each other's energy changed after we gave out a copy of the Energy Bus to everyone. Now, number 7 is not really in line with the rest of the books that I read in 2025. This one's a Batman graphic novel. So please just indulge me for a moment as I talk about the Batman 89 graphic novel. So this is a graphic novel that was written to continue on the Batman story in the Tim Burton verse after Batman Returns. Now, there's debate over whether this is canon or not canon to that Burton verse, but also the Burton verse that we revisited in the Flash movie, which that's pretty forgettable. And also whether it's canon to Batman Forever and Batman and Robin that follow in that sort of era of Batman films. I think it's probably not canon. It's probably best to treat it as not canon, but it's a really cool Elseworlds sort of exploration into what could have been after the Batman Returns story through Batman 89. There's the introduction of Robin. There's the introduction of the Harvey Dent Two-Face story as well. Just a really cool nostalgic sort of read. So that's it for Batman novels, graphic novels. But Batman 89, if you're a Batman fan, I liked it. Next one is The Psychology of Money by Morgan Housel, I think it is. You can see the recommendations and the glowing testimonials on the back from the likes of Howard Marks, Daniel Pink, James Clear from Atomic Habits, Tim Ferriss. Schools out like it. This is a read. This is a good read, especially if you're getting the sort of testimonials from those guys. Basically, The Psychology of Money is 19 short stories exploring the different ways that people think about money. I really enjoyed it from my finance background, exploring the psychology behind spending, behind investment, behind saving and behind probably conservative money models or money thinking. Um, and it helps you understand why people make certain decisions about money based on their upbringing, based on um, where they are in life. And I really enjoyed it. Fairly easy read as well. Um, yeah, and I think it's a really original finance book as well. So, I highly recommend Psychology of Money. Now we're probably going to get into the not as exciting part of my reading list from 2025. The next one is The Infinite Game by Simon Sinek. Now, I'm a Simon Sinek fan, but I think he takes way too many words to say something that he could have said in much less. The Infinite Game is probably no different. It was quite a dense read and took me a bit to chew through. I actually started this book in January and I didn't finish it till like August, September. And I just had to keep coming back to it. I've read all these other books in between. Um, yeah, it was a hard read. Basically, the idea of the infinite game is that there's no finish line and that you should operate with a mentality that there is no finish line and that you should continue to build legacy, make decisions um, as if you're not living in a transactional world where you know you might meet someone once, exchange something with them, transact with them, and then never see them again, which I think is a really good mindset and a really good methodology to think about life in. But it was just a bit too hard to get through the Infinite Game by Simon Sinek. So sorry, Simon Sinek. And I actually got this book given to me, which makes me feel even worse about not really recommending it or liking it that much. My next book, number 10, maybe my favorite read of the year, up there with The Ride of a Lifetime, but $100 Million Money Models by Alex Hormozy. If you've seen my stuff, if you've spoken to me for longer than an hour, you will know that I'm a massive Alex Hormozy fan. And the subtitle sums up what this book is about. $100 Million Money Models, How to Make Money. And it's it was the fastest selling nonfiction book in history. They set the Guinness World Record. I watched the live stream when they did this at acquisition.com. Alex and Layla Hormozy have fundamentally changed mine and my wife Nicole's life, and will probably continue to do so. Alex actually wrote, if you've seen Alex's stuff, he's got 3 books: $100 Million Money Models, $100 Million Offers, and $100 Million Leads. He actually wrote Money Models, this one first, and then he wrote Offers and Leads after that because he thought, well, I can teach people how to make money, but I need to teach them how to make an offer to attract people into their business and then how to actually promote that offer into the world and get leads, and then I'll teach them how to convert them. So this is really a sales book more than anything. It talks about cross sells, upsells, downsells. It talks about a whole lot of different money models, which is a great way to think about them. And really sums up, you don't have to read $100 Million offers and $100 Million leads to understand and get $100 Million money models. So yeah, just really loved the way that Alex can communicate complex ideas and complex strategies in very simple, digestible form. Next one, number 11, we're getting to the end now, is Scaling People by Claire Hughes Johnson. Now, this is one that was recommended to me at a seminar that I went to. Claire Hughes Johnson, you may not have heard of. She is a executive at Stripe and a former executive at Google. So quite a high level leader and manager of people. And really, it's a practical guide to elevating and scaling the way that you manage your most important resource in business, which is your people. It's also quite an empathetic guide to help real leaders in the real world. And I found that refreshing. I found it really refreshing. It's a long read as well, but there's also a whole lot of gold in the book from all the worksheets, from the templates, and from the exercises that Claire Hughes Johnson discusses and shares with you. You can go online and download them if you listen to the audiobook, or you've actually got the physical copies in the real book, in the physical copy. So I really enjoyed Scaling People. It was long. It did take me a while to get through it, but it was well worth it and very practical, tactical, and empathetic towards leading people. So add that to your list. Notable mention to the Bible, of course. That's just a constant read. I didn't read the whole thing, so I didn't feel that it was appropriate to include it in the list formally as to one that I finished, because I haven't finished it. I've never finished it. I'm getting through it bit by bit by bit. But of course, fundamental to who I am as a man of God. And I would highly encourage you to explore reading some of the Bible in 2026. Now, this is one that I didn't get through again, so I didn't really include it in the list. This book, I fell asleep no less than 3 times trying to read this book, How to Develop Self Confidence and Influence People by Public Speaking by Dale Carnegie. He's the guy who wrote How to Win Friends and Influence People. It's got over 6 million copies sold on the top. And he might have sold 6 million copies, but geez, good on you if you can get through this book. It's written for a different time. It's written for a different level of reading, I feel. It's not written as an easy to read book, that's for sure. It's like 218, 219 pages, and I don't even think I've made page 50. I've made just page 50. Yeah, I just couldn't get through it. And I just thought I was gonna read this on the plane at one of our trips. I just thought this is gonna be a good plane book. It's little, less than 200 pages. I'm gonna chew through this. And yeah, it just wasn't for me, unfortunately. So condolences to you if you love that book. Sorry. My final book, and I'm still in the process of reading this, is by Will Guidara, Unreasonable Hospitality. And I think Unreasonable Hospitality is going to be one of those books that really shapes our year in business, personally, for our business at Hot Property, but also for Nicole's business at the gym at Freedom Lifestyle and Fitness. Unreasonable Hospitality is really a customer service book. It's for anyone who deals with customers, people, client-facing activity. And really the crux of the book is how to care for people. But there's a lot of great stories throughout this, and it is hospitality, as the name suggests. It's hospitality based, so it's all about the restaurant game that Will has grown up in, and it's excellent from a turnaround story, because Will's basically gone into a couple of different restaurants over his time and ended up turning them around into Michelin star quality restaurants in New York. But he talks about this rule, and this is the one rule that so far that I've gotten through, and I'm past halfway in this book. But he talks about looking after 95% of your money really, really strictly in your business. Looking after 95% of it so that you can reinvest the remaining 5% into unforgettable experiences for your clients. And I love that. They tell the story about this family who came to one of their restaurants in New York City. It was snowing. They'd never seen snow before. At the end of their meal, they had organized for snow sleds and a car to take them up to Central Park to play in the snow, because they'd never seen snow before. And it's just such an incredible piece of storytelling that Will goes through in this book about how to look after people, not just customers, but also your team and internal staff members as well. So Unreasonable Hospitality, haven't finished it yet. Might take a turn for the worse, but I've heard great things about Unreasonable Hospitality, and I'm going to continue to read Unreasonable Hospitality. And to be honest, this copy of this book actually got out of the hamper that we're giving to our new front of house team member that starts with us next week. We're just giving this to every team member, but especially client-facing team members, especially on the front of house, where they're going to meet and greet and look after our people the most. So this is sort of going to be their Bible for how to look after people, and happy to back the unreasonable hospitality strategy. So that's my 12. Let's recap that. So I've got Atomic Habits by James Clear, Winners by Alistair Campbell, Start the Work by Natalie Dawson, Main Street Millionaire by Cody Sanchez, The Ride of a Lifetime by Robert Iger. I am going to that's my number one. That's my number one book for the year for 2025. Definitely make sure that's on your 2026 reading list. The Energy Bus by John Gordon, Batman 89 graphic novel. Depends on if you're a Batman fan or not. Psychology of Money, Morgan Housel. Read all of those. Infinite Game by Simon Sinek. Take it or leave it. $100 Million Money Models. Must read. Scaling People by Claire Hughes Johnson. Great read. Unreasonable Hospitality. Great read. The Bible. Must read. Condolences to How to Develop Self-Confidence and Influence People by Public Speaking by Dale Carnegie. Sorry, Dale. I'm not sure if you're even alive anymore. But anyway, thank you for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed this format. I hope you enjoyed the live format. I enjoyed it, actually. I wasn't sure if I was going to. I'd love to do a few more live streams like this throughout the year. I was going to jump on here and commit to a certain level of live streams, but I just don't think that's reasonable or practical or fair on myself and my schedule to say that I'm going to do this every week or every month. But I'm going to try and do more of them. So I hope you enjoyed it. Hopefully the tech setup worked. First time I've used this tech setup. But if you liked it, I'd love to hear from you. If you're rewatching it back, I'd love to hear your comments. If you've read any of these books, I'd love to hear from you. I'd love to hear what you thought of them. If you disagree with me, jump in the comments and disagree with me. I'd love a bit of spice in the comment section. If you've got any extras that you think should go on the reading list for 2026, please add them in the comments as well. I'd love to hear from you. Hope you have a fantastic 2026, and I look forward to seeing you on the next video.